So, Lady Sunshine, what's your first act as a noblewoman going to be?
A noblewoman with no fortune and no title. Looking for work, probably.
Practicality is for peasants, milady. You need to do something frivolous to celebrate your birthright.
Such as...
Come up to the Hightown Market and complain bitterly that there's no Orlesian silk that matches your eyes.
But what if something does match my eye? What will I do then?
Insist that they're blatantly copying you, and demand royalties. A good noble always has a complaint ready, Sunshine.
Oh, gosh. Have I mentioned how much I love Varric? That's so great.
Everything on the list. I'll get to work immediately. And of course, here is the reward I promised.
That should have some payoff later. Because it takes him several years to create... I'll stop. I'm sure there are plenty others out there that were rather annoyed about the whole time skip thing, but then again, it doesn't bother some people. They don't really care. But yeah, I realized the reason I couldn't find it on Sundermount was because I had to talk to the elven merchant that was there at the camp about, hey, do you know where Ironbark is? And he's like, oh, it's in this place that is dangerous for our hunters and such. And then we would go to that separate area, which was one of the same places from before. And,
You were looking for this?
I didn't expect to see this again. Thank you. Truly.
And then that's where we got the Ironbark to turn it in, so... So we're going to do a little bit of walking around and talking to people.
Insist if you must, but Viscount Dumas will see no one. If you've news of Seamus, I will relay it to him.
Fine. Tell Dumas my scouts have tracked the boy and his Canary captor to the Wounded Coast. I'm taking a full company after them, and when I return, I expect him to make a show of the reward.
So many to deal with one Kunari seems... excessive.
He may be Tal Vashoth. The Winters leave nothing to chance. Get out of my bloody way!
Yes, what is it?
Sounds like you have a problem that needs fixing.
I have several, thanks to the base types who responded to our call. As I told the others, Viscount Dumas' son, Seamus, is missing. We suspect he was taken by a Kunari. If you would like to try your hand at securing his safe return, feel free. I have certainly granted no exclusivity to the Winters and their violent approach.
Notice how he keeps wording it as how, like, well, we believe this Kunari captured him. Just remember that. That's how they keep playing this up.
There must be suspicions about why the boy went missing.
Why? What have you heard?
Nothing. Until now.
There is truly nothing known. He is gone, and there have been sightings of a Kunari. The only complication is that Seamus is known to be of a sympathetic mind. He may have placed himself in danger, but it is danger nonetheless.
And again, you notice how immediately he was like, hey, what have you heard? There's a number of different political ramifications to this particular quest here, involving the Viscount's office and the Kunari and the Chantry. Yeah.
This isn't a task for a guardsman?
There is a concern of appearance. If we used guards, it would allow Viscount Dumas' opponents to say this admits the Kunari threat, because the city responded. In these times, public embarrassment is preferable to official embarrassment.
The Qunari are not wild in the city. Petition their leader for the boy's return.
The Arishock has declared that it is not his role to do so. Apparently their rebels, the Tal-Vashoth, are hunted anyway, killed for what they are, not for what they may have done. That does not bode well for Seamus.
I should know about the competition.
The Winters out of Navarra. They don't care one whit if Seamus is returned unharmed. Their lead, Sirrah Guinness, is hungry for a foothold in fair Kirkwall. And frankly, we have enough of their kind.
I'll drag the boy back here soon enough.
Declare it if you like, but the reward goes to whomever brings him back safe. A discussion you are welcome to have with the Winters, should you encounter them, on the Wounded Coast.
Remember how I said we're going to be going back to the Wounded Coast quite often in this game? Yeah. Like I said, it was getting to a point where I was just like, oh gosh, I have to go back there again. Alright, let's also let Hubert know about the Bone Pit.
I solved your problem.
So, what happened? One of the miners told me you rescued him from dragons. I cuffed him for lying.
Well, he wasn't. Go there and see the corpses for yourself.
But I thought they're extinct. I believe you. You made them extinct again? If it is safe, the miners can return to work.
The Bone Pit's hazardous at best. And if the dragons return...
I appreciate your concern for my workers' welfare. I could use someone like you to ensure their continued safety. Since you did so much more than I was expecting, how about we work together? I am offering a 50-50 share in the mine. You will make us both rich if you can keep your countrymen safe.
Why would you share half your business with me?
I spent a decade honing my business instincts in Val Royeaux. I once sold a seat cushion to Empress Selene. Simply put, I have a good feeling about you. So, what do you say?
It's like, okay, I'm getting offered half of a share in a mine? Yes.
If you want my help, you'll pay for my services in advance.
You're both tough and shrewd. Very well. I had some money set aside for safety equipment, but it is yours instead. So, to our first order of business. We replace the lost workers. I will hire new hands. Plenty of desperate Ferelden's out there, but it will take some time. I need you to convince the surviving miners to return. They are holed up in Lowtown. Tell them the Bone Pit is safe again.
I'll see what I can do.
Let's go take a moment to go visit the Arishock. I, of course, will go ahead and show you what happens when we try to go in here with Isabella. And then we'll switch her out.
Did you misplace this?
An old, foolish thing to need. Thank you for saving me the trip.
I'll elf your mother.
Well, that was rather rude.
Let me pass. I have business with the dwarf Javaris and your Arishock.
The short mouth, yes. Enter if you must, Basra.
You go on ahead. I would rather not.
An awkward time to run off, Isabella.
Ah, you know I'd never leave you. It's just that I really have to leave. Now.
Alright, so obviously we have to get Fenris in here. because we need him for some extra special dialogue stuff if we are going to work on getting respect with the Arishock. There's really nobody else here that I would need for that. Varric helps with, at least not now, but even later. Bethany doesn't really make a difference, honestly, or Aveline for now. But let's go ahead and just keep Bethany since, well, we're going to lose the opportunity to have her around later on, right? So, anyways.
All are forbidden. You are the exception.
Ah, my right hand arrives. Summon your Arishock. The bargain is done. About time you showed. I've been here for hours.
Arishock Maras Shokra, Anan Isamkyun.
The Kyun from an elf? The madness of this place.
Tell me that helped.
We shall see.
Yes, well, that said, I'm here to report that your hated Talvishoth were felled, one and all, right? Yes, they were. So, I'm ready to open negotiations for the explosive powder, as we agreed.
No.
He's not getting it. Make your chatty elf say something.
Any insight that would help?
Kunari do not abandon a debt. I humbly request clarification from the Arishock.
I have a growing lack of disgust for you.
I love that quote.
The dwarf imagined the deal for the Gatlock. He invented a task to prove his worth when he has none.
Then we have wrongly inserted ourselves in your affairs. Would you have us kill this dwarf?
Wait, what now?
If you face Talvishoth, he is not worthy of dying to you, as he was not worthy of dying to them. But you keep good company. Let him live, and leave.
I really like the Arishock as a character. He's one of my favorite characters in this entire game. A lot of the things he says is very indicative of the Kunari and the Kyun. A lot of the things he says is very Kunari and very Kyun. Like that, some of the other, like we already heard one of them, one of my favorite quotes. I have a growing lack of disgust for you. Who says that? When do you hear anybody say something like that? But it's very, it helps showcase the Arishock as a character, like how he is. And there are certain types of ways you can go about interacting with the Arishock to gain his respect, which is an achievement, but it also plays a role in the story later on when we get to the big conclusion at the end of Act 2 with the Arishock. So if I say this, for example, that I was promised future profits...
He had big plans for your recipe. I was supposed to get a piece of that.
Dwarf, did your imaginary bargain make promises on my behalf?
I expected your wisdom to be more profitable.
Then you will pay on my behalf.
It's not at all. Take your coin, take whatever. Hornhead oxmen and mongrel donglords, suck your own powder and blow your head off, sod it.
You will leave as well, human. There's no more coin for you here.
There may not be coin, but I do still want to talk with you.
We have a... Why do you bother me, human? The dwarf paid you. There is no more. Your kind thinks selfishness and want are normal. This city, all of it, leaves a bad taste.
Seems to me that most of Kirkwall hates you just as much.
Since we arrived, I have seen nothing but greed and weakness. Dwarves, humans, elves, just festering. No order, no goal. You are one of the few I have met with any ability. And yet this too was random, a result of selfishness. I cannot fathom how a mire like this can be justified. We are hated? How do you not hate yourselves and this chaos?
I take no blame for this city. I'm new here too.
And it disgusts you as well?
Some of it, but would it be so different anywhere else?
Karastan are soldiers. The Qun made it so. They can never vary from that assigned path, never be other than they are meant to be. But they are free to choose within that role, to accept and succeed, or deny and die. Glory is clear and defined. You claim it is no different anywhere else. We deny that, with a certainty that would benefit not just you, but this whole city.
Have you come here to proselytize? To convert?
No. Foundering here was unexpected. I have purpose other than watching you rot. But this city... How long must I let you harm yourselves? I suspect we are done, human.
How long must I let you harm yourselves? Like I said, a lot of the things he says, it gives you an excellent idea about himself, the Qunari, and the Qun. The Qun makes a lot of sense. And that's part of why it's kind of a horrifying concept, because there's a lot of things about the Qun that are pretty horrifying. But a lot of it actually does make sense. A lot of the things he said there about the roles and such, and how you operate within the Qun, within their society and such, a lot of it makes sense. It's just kind of terrifying when you think about how some of those things work. We will get more on this, or we'll get more info on this, when we do the DLC involving Talus. We were getting some idea about some of these things when we talked to Sten back in Origins, but there were times where Sten was like, I don't want to bother trying to explain it because it's not my role to explain it, and I can't really explain something like that to someone like you. Here, the Arishock does actually try to give us some, even though he's also very irritated that he has to have these conversations and talks and such.
You're a long way from home. Why did you come?
To meet a demand of the Qun.
Which was?
It is a matter only the Qunari understand. We remain until we fulfill the demand of the Qun. Or until the demand changes.
I don't think Kirkwall would do well under military rule.
The rule of the Qun is not military. It is discipline and order.
How is that different?
To your limited understanding, it is not. You fear soldiers that arrive to remove your pitiable vices. But they do not control Qunari. The Triumvirate divides and governs. One is nothing without the others.
Can you tell me about the other two parts?
No.
Of course you can't.
I am no more equipped to explain than you are to understand. Arishock, Arigena, Ariqun, pillars of the Qunari, of the nation that must be. There is but one way to know these things, human. And I have yet to decide if it must be done.
You guard your powder carefully.
It is a tool that can only be allowed to exist under the ordered authority of the Qun.
It could benefit many people.
It does now. Just as swords benefit warriors, but are not given to children. Well, your children.
How many Qunari have you lost to the Talvashoth?
None.
You can't believe that.
We lose nothing when weakness abandons the Qun. It is the Talvashoth who have lost themselves.
I met an honorable one.
Doubtful.
He said he was a mercenary, not a murderer.
Then I know he made no claim to honor. When they sell themselves, little remains. He is not even dead to the Qun. He is a living insult.
Farewell.
Panahedon, human.
Long ago, the Ashkari lived in a great city by the sea. Wealth and prosperity shone upon the city like sunlight, and still its people grumbled in discontent. The Ashkari walked the streets of his home and saw that all around him were the signs of genius, triumphs of architecture, artistic masterpieces, the palaces of wealthy merchants, libraries and concert halls. But he also saw signs of misery, the poor, sick, lost, frightened, and the hopeless. And the Ashkari asked himself, how can one people be both wise and ignorant, great and ruined, triumphant and despairing? So the Ashkari left the land of his birth, seeking out other cities and nations, looking for a people who had found wisdom enough to end hopelessness and despair. He wandered for many years, through empires filled with palaces and gardens. But in every nation of the wise, the great, and the mighty, he found the forgotten, the abandoned, and the poor. Finally, he came to a vast desert, a wasteland of bare rock clawing at the empty sky, where he took shelter in the shadow of a towering rock, and resolved to meditate until he found his answer, or perished. Many days passed until one night, as he gazed out from the shadow of the rocks, he saw the lifeless desert awaken. 100,000 locusts hatched from the barren ground, and as one they turned south, a single wave of moving earth. The Ashkari rose and followed in their wake, a path of devastation miles wide. The once verdant land turned to waste, and the Ashkari's eyes were opened. Existence is a choice. There is no chaos in the world, only complexity. Knowledge of the complex is wisdom. From wisdom of the world comes wisdom of the self. Mastery of the self is mastery of the world. Loss of the self is the source of suffering. Suffering is a choice, and we can refuse it. It is in our own power to create the world or destroy it. And the Ashkaris went forth to his people. An excerpt from the Kyun, Canto 1. Wasn't sure if there was one here on the Arishock. The people of the Kyun are perhaps the least understood group in Thedas. The Kunari Wars were brutal, but so was the Chantry Schism. So was the fall of the Imperium. Some of this misunderstanding is an accident of nature. The race we call Kunari are formidable. Nature has given them fierce horns and strange eyes, and the ignorant look on them and see monsters. Some is an accident of language. Few among the Kyun's people speak the common tongue, and fewer speak it well. In a culture that strives for mastery, to have only a passable degree of skill is humiliating indeed, and so they often keep quiet among foreigners, out of shame. But much of it is the result of the culture itself. The Kunari view their whole society as a single creature, a living entity whose health and well-being is the responsibility of all. Each individual is only a tiny part of the whole, a drop of blood in its veins, important not for itself, but for what it is to the whole creature. Because of this, the Kunari most outsiders meet belong to the army, which the Kyun regards as if it were the physical body. Arms, legs, eyes, and ears, the things a creature needs in order to interact with the world. One cannot get to know a person solely by studying his hand or his foot, and so one cannot truly meet the Kunari until one has visited their cities. That is where their mind and soul dwell. In Saharon and Par Valen, one can truly see the Kunari in their entirety. There, the unification of the Kunari into a single being is most evident. Workers, whom the Kyun calls the mind, produce everything the Kunari require. The soul, the priesthood, seeks a greater understanding of the self, the world, and exhorts the body and mind to continually strive for perfection. The body serves as the go-between for the mind, the soul, and the world. Everyone and everything has a place, decided by the Qun, in which they work for the good of the whole. It is a life of certainty, of equality, if not individuality. From the writings of the Seer of Kantar, 841, Blessed. So hopefully that gives you a better idea as about the Qunari and the culture and the Qun itself. Do I want to change up my party? Actually, yeah, hold on. Sorry, Fenris, but I'm going to sit you out for a bit, get Isabella back in here.
Hey, it's the one that rescued me from them dragons. A fellow for Eldon, no less. Oh, eyes on her face, you lush.
1,000 thanks for saving Jansen's worthless hide.
Worthless, am I? My farm supplied eggplant to half of the South Reach.
Yeah? My eggplant supplied half the bastards in South Reach.
Oh, you're a real hero. Now what brings you here?
Break's over. You've got jobs to get back to.
Come back to that blight taking hold? I need work, but I don't need to be some dragon's dinner. What if there's more dragons later? Or something worse like, bigger dragons?
I go back to the missus without this job. She'll rip me apart sure as any dragon.
What can we do? That bastard Hubert is the only one willing to hire us.
Hubert sold me half the mine, so expect some changes.
Really? Oh, be nice to work for one of our own. If you don't give us a fair shake, who would? Back to work, boys. I'm happy to take more of Hubert's coin.
Ah. Again, notice how they just appeared out of nowhere?
To worry about. There's the dead drop. Hopefully the Wardens will appreciate this. I convinced the miners to return to work.
Excellent. I knew you would handle those layouts.
Have you seen my wife, Ninette? What do you mean you can't help me?
This is a domestic matter, Sirrah. If your wife has chosen to leave you, there's nothing we can do.
Ninette is my wife. She's legally bound to me. Bring her back.
We're done here.
Useless. Why are we still paying those sluggards?
I intend to claim the reward for finding your wife.
You are going to look for Ninette? Finally, someone who looks competent. That foolish woman has caused me nothing but embarrassment. She needs to be dragged home.
She's your wife, not a dog.
At least a dog could be trained. Her family is getting suspicious. They think I might have done something to her. Even if... Well, I just want to make sure they know I didn't do it.
I can't stand this guy.
Why would her family think you did something to her?
They think I married her for her inheritance, and they know we have been fighting. They believe this is reason enough for me to hurt her, but I swear on Andraste's pyre, I have done nothing.
Do you think Ninette might be in trouble?
It's her own doing, gallivanting about with men half her age. Pah! She's just trying to show me I am tied to her purse strings.
You're more concerned what her family thinks than what happened to her.
Ninette keeps the company of other men, huh? And makes no secret of it. I'll be better off with her gone. Well, as long as her family knows I had nothing to do with it. They would ruin me otherwise.
Marriage is more trouble than it's worth.
It wasn't always like this. We were in love once. She defied her parents to marry me. Sometimes, I wonder if I dreamed those years.
How long has your wife been gone?
About a month. I wasn't worried at first. She's run off before. Ninette is uncontrollable, you see. She comes and goes as she pleases.
I'll try my best to find Ninette and bring her home.
You should talk to Jethan at the Blooming Rose. I didn't know she visited whores. Until Jethan sent a letter to our house. He even sent her flowers once. Lilies. Her favorite. No! Talking about it makes my head hurt. Good luck to you, Sarah.
Who knows?
Drinks of the hanged man when you're done?
Absolutely. See you then.
By the way, remember that thing he said about the lilies? Remember that for later. It'll be kind of important.
The merchandise is up front. He didn't really ask you where it went.
By the way, you're about to encounter a familiar voice in BioWare games.
Today's my rest day, but I'll make an exception for you. What can I say? Why work if you're not working hard?
Oh, gosh.
Like him. He reminds me of someone.
I don't want to hire you. I'm here about Ninette.
One of my favorites. I hear she finally left her worthless husband. Good for her. I just wish she'd said goodbye.
If you haven't noticed who that is, I believe that is Mark Meer, as in male Commander Shepard from Mass Effect.
Did she tell you she left her husband?
No, I just hope that's what she did. Ghislaine only wants her for her family's wealth. Ninette's a jewel. Elegant, worldly, just the perfect level of depraved. Ghislaine doesn't deserve her.
Do you think Ninette has come to harm?
I hope not. Everyone loves Ninette. Sometimes twice a night.
Oh, gosh.
Ghislaine's the only one who might hurt her, and he doesn't have the balls for it.
Ghislaine knew about you and Ninette. Did he talk to you?
The man is incapable of talking. He came here, yelled at me, called me a dirty knife ear, among other things, and accused me of corrupting his wife. We had him thrown out.
So you don't actually know anything?
What made you think I would? Anyway, there was someone else looking for Ninette. A Templar. I believe his name was Emmerich. He wouldn't sleep with me either. I can't see why a Templar would be interested in anyone who isn't a mage.
Any chance Ninette's an apostate?
Well, she certainly cast a spell on me. Anyway, if Ninette was a mage, I think Emmerich would have said so.
Maybe he has something useful to say.
I told you what I know. Sorry it wasn't what you wanted. Emmerich said he'd continue his investigation in Darktown. You could see if he's still there. And if you find Ninette, tell her to drop by and see me sometime.
I'm going to show you something rather amusing.
Back again? Sure you're not interested in my many, many services?
I have coin in my purse and time to spare. Why not?
Baker's breath. Can't you do this when I'm not around?
Run along and play, Bethany.
This is not why we came to Kirkwall.
Oh, I just love how Bethany or Carver will react that way. Like, oh my gosh, can you please not while I'm here? Can Varric or Isabella? Nope, that is a locked door. Not getting past there. What's funny is you notice how that exclamation point was there and now it's gone, because it'll stay there unless you actually go through with that. It's not really even a request, it's just, hey, hey. You know, do you wanna? Oh my goodness. Hold on. We're not going to go find Emmerich just yet. I just want to go ahead and grab this over here. Oh, never mind. That's not it. Over here. There we go.
This is yours. Try to keep track of your things.
This was free every time.
Now we'll go back to my house. I understand that you are to thank for the return of the Lost Grey Warden letters. This deed did not go unnoticed. Please accept the enclosed reward and the Warden's blessing. Your discretion about this affair is appreciated. Alright. Talk to Anders. Interesting.
I had a friend like you once. Got in all kinds of trouble. Dragged me along. Didn't think I'd be doing that again. I got a bit weighty the last time we talked. Sorry for putting that on you.
Keep your personal issues to yourself. Our relationship is strictly professional.
Understood. I appreciate your help and support.
I'm surprised I didn't show a rivalry gain there. Anyways. Alright, so we'll work on those. I think we'll just go ahead and start working on, oh, I have another one here. 2 left to locate. Huh. Interesting. Well, I think we'll mainly just focus on these secondary quests before we do main plot quests. Which is funny because they are labeled as secondary, and yet some of these quests are going to have like main story ramifications later on down the line. So, stay tuned.